Hey guys, welcome to the live stream. I am currently in the middle of modding Dying Light 2. So I am the developer of the first Dying Light. I am Legion Mod for Dying Light 1, and I'm back with Dying Light 2. And I have been super excited about all the things that I've been able to change. The developers maybe had a change of heart as far as hiding a lot of that code for Dying Light 1, and they've revealed a lot of fun variables to mess with for Dying Light 2. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the game and show you what those changes are starting to look like. And for a good example, I mean, it's just amazing seeing the difference. It's taken a couple hours here to play with the variables to get it exactly how I want, and it's an ongoing development, so it'll continue to get better as I go. But so far, just the amount of progress in just a couple of hours could only be because they've left so much of that code just exposed. If they decided for whatever reason to hide a lot of the stuff or inject it at runtime, then a lot of this will go away. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that won't be the case. But let me go ahead and just show you a use case. So I want to go ahead and start, and only because this is being recorded, I want to go ahead and show a use case of what Dying Light 2 looks like without the mod, and then I'm going to launch into what it looks like with the mod. So let's go ahead and get this loaded up here. And I'll show you a use case. So I've got this ready to be placed back in. So we'll go ahead and delete out the mod, and let's go ahead and launch. So again, this is going to be Dying Light 2 without the mod, just as a use case, so I can show you the gameplay side by side to show you the difference between what the game looks like without the mod completely, and then some of the changes that I've been working on as we go. So make sure that this game is being picked up here.
Civilization is a vulnerable thing, a whim of circumstance. At any time, the smallest flap of a butterfly's wings may set catastrophe in motion.
And I am playing with a widescreen monitor, so this is going to be a little bit challenging to get all of this content
Those
visible,
left behind there did not stand a chance.
I try to just set this up to where you're getting the center view, and hopefully it might cut off some of the HUD elements, but I think for the most part you should understand or see the majority of the game. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get this sized out. There we go. Let's make sure that the desktop audio is going. Yep. So the part of the game that I'm at is the part where you've just done the first inside experience. You've just gone inside and received that first biochip, and you escaped. So then I've jumped out, and so the idea here was I wanted to test at night first. Now that I've tested at night, I'm now back into the daylight, and I'm testing with all these daylight conditions. But technically, I'm still inside the tutorial, and so I guess the summary here is that you probably wouldn't want to play this mod until you understand the game, until you understand what you're able to do inside the game, and then once you've understood what you can actually do, then go and install the mod once you're starting to get bored. I did notice that, I don't know if you guys have been getting that lag on fall, but I have been noticing that. So to go ahead and just confirm that the mod's not working, you can see here that we've got our zombies. They're kind of dumb. They just kind of move around here. Now they have done a better job at making these guys actually run and actually move around the scene. But for me, I like a very intense game. And so even this running, I mean, that's great and everything, but I get pretty bored with this gameplay pretty quick, just because if I can get up on this car and pretty much just do this to the enemy zombie, then I'm not too worried about anything inside this game. So I did notice that it looks like the AI fighters seem like they're throwing a lot more, so there is this whole thing about, you know, having to worry about getting sniped by the by Rise's men, or the bandits rather. So you can see here, I wanted to point this out. So a lot of people have mentioned the physics issues. So if we hit those guys with that container, you can see that it plays an animation that kind of knocks them backwards. So pay attention to the physics updates that I've also done in the mod. Go ahead and hit that. Go ahead and launch. So if we blow those guys up, you can see that a couple of them kind of did a quick ragdoll, and then it's almost like a little animation takes back over. So then they immediately get back up, and they're now animated. A couple of them are crawling, and that's pretty much it. So they've exploded now. Let's see if I can get up here to the roof. They've exploded. Nothing really going on. Exploded. Everybody just kind of hanging out, and that's pretty much it. So I think this is a pretty good example of what the game looks like for everybody at this point. So everybody just kind of goes back. Nothing really going on. Let me blow up one more here just to confirm and show you what it should look like if we blow up a container without the mod. So we'll go ahead and hit this guy. Hit that. Go ahead and head up to the roof here. We've blown it up. They've got their little animation here to where they were trying to get up. A couple of them died. I can't tell if some of them may have hit the barrel. You know what's actually going on here as far as those guys, but you can see we've got some guys down the road, and that's pretty much it. So this is probably more of a sandbox game. So I'm playing on the hardest difficulty right now, but this is more of like a sandbox. I just want to go down there and mess with some zombies and get new weapons and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my mod, and that way you can see the difference of what this AI looks like versus the AI that I'm currently putting together for the mod. So let's go ahead and exit out. See, we just got one viewer. Hey, whoever's joined the channel here. So I'm going to go ahead and end the gameplay here. And I'm going to go ahead and inject this mod. And I'm also, so we do have a new Discord channel. So I'm going to go ahead and share with the Discord channel that we are live. So that way they're aware. I didn't actually share with them yet. So let me make sure to go ahead and do that. Switch TV. All right, so we've got to get the mod injected, so we're going to go ahead and drag over that data 3 pack, and we'll go ahead and launch again. So before, one of the big things about the walkers is, I like the concept of the walkers, but, it has to be able to swarm eventually. I like this idea that if you have walkers, they're moving across the map, and really that's where the first version of I Am Legion came from. With the first version of the game, was this idea that if you weren't using the runners, and as everybody started to call them, because they weren't infected, so they weren't the ones with humanity and ducking and all that, they were actually just runners because they were coming after you. And so if you didn't have the runners, you could choose a difficulty. If you didn't want the runners, you at least had a smarter AI that was coming towards you, that was looking for you, that kind of thing. And so what I've done with this is I've currently got the version that would be the hard version, which is they see you, they're looking for you. I'm still working on the code that actually gets them moving. So right now you kind of have this thing where they're just kind of sitting there breathing heavy. So it's very reminiscent for me of like a I Am Legend kind of thing, where they're just in there breathing. But the idea here is that I want them to be able to be a challenge during the day if there's not as many of them. So essentially I've got two mechanics working here. I've got this idea of, if it's daytime, the streets are dangerous, the rooftops can now be dangerous because they can follow you up to the roof. But you also have this night chase system at night that makes it even harder because you have the volatiles, the special AI, all those kind of things. So you can see here we've got our little zombies walking around down there, but this is with the mod, so let's head down here and you should see the difference. So immediately we've got zombies that are coming after me. So they are immediately coming after me. They're using the animations of the biters, but they are in a frenzy. So they are going to chase me across this map. And the thing that I like about this is that they're also not going to just give up. So they are going to come after me across the map, and humans start showing up. You know, things start getting more aggressive, and then they're going to like fight each other. So at first they kind of kibosh, and I'm looking for a way to make this AI detect each other a little bit faster, because you can see here they've now noticed that there's other humans around, and so they're now doing the work of killing these guys. But before that, they would just kind of ignore each other. But you can see here that the AI, or the human AI, is actually getting beat up pretty quickly here, so they're getting overwhelmed. I'm going to continue to work on this idea of balancing the health and everything to where headshots actually count against these guys, that they're actually able to kill off these zombies. But you can see here that the animation states are gone, so they're no longer getting knocked back, they're actually getting knocked down, and when they're down, they are getting pummeled. They're not even able to get back up. I personally like this because it's more realistic to how that would actually go if you're getting overwhelmed by a horde of zombies. So you can see here, we're going to go down the street back to that area we went to before. So they're all seeing me, they're all getting upset, they're coming after me. I heard some humans as well, so I think I'll have them here in a second. But let's watch as we have the new ragdolls. So you can see the ragdolls have been applied, everybody got blown away. If we pick up a container here, if I can pick up one, you can see that, well, you couldn't really see there too quickly because they're coming after me. Alright, let's try this. Oh, Alright, let's head up to the roof so we can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. Now the chain of explosions are happening. The map is filling up. So you have guys coming from all over this map looking for me. You got guys on the roof, and the spawn mechanics are now spawning in enemies as you go. So the longer you hang out in a noise region, the more that AI starts to show up. But you can see there that we also had crawlers. We had guys still on the ground. We still have the lurkers hanging out there waiting to grab you. So it's not like we're losing any systems here. The difference is that these enemies are not now actually looking for you actively always. And as I actually hook up more of the pursuit and more of the patrol systems, they should start searching the city. So one of my favorite things about the original I Am Legion was that if you look down on a city like this, they weren't just standing idly out on the map. So right now they're doing what's called idle, and that's not very scary. So the idea here is that they would actually start actively searching the map for me, and so they would be combing all over the different surfaces out there looking for something to eat. And the idea with the sound detection is that as you're running by, the original zombies had this very narrow window that they would actually hear you. So the end result is that they would just kind of watch you, and that was about it. They would just kind of watch you come up to the fence, and then they would stop. They couldn't even climb over the fence. These new zombies are actively hunting you. They are going to follow you. They're going to keep pace with you as you're running. And I'm going to go ahead and set up some of the original difficulty settings so that you're also able to control how fast they are, how many of them follow you. All those settings I'm going to try to bring back. But for right now, this is definitely a harder version of the mod. And as I mentioned, so I'm currently in the tutorial status, so my weapons are really poor. So one of the reasons that you would just want to keep running in this situation is that with a pipe, you just really wouldn't be able to get away with a lot. But as you start to get better weapons, you could actually start to fend off more of these guys. I'm going to try to see if I can show you. So I keep going back to this one location because I did record the original of what it looked like when you hit somebody with a gas tank. Let me see if I can get one fast enough here. So you can see there the original physics system has been brought back. It's no longer an animation that plays. It is actually physics that are driving these guys, and they're actually sending them crumbling to the ground. So that physics issue that we were seeing before of where they were just kind of getting knocked into is now fixed. And more than likely, as I've been talking to the guys on the Discord, more than likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set up a physics mod by itself, and then also have my Dying Light I Am Legion version of this. So you don't have to worry about having this level of intensity if that's not what you're looking for, but also you just want those physics fixes. So you can see here, they've lost us. We're a little ways away. This is a little bit better representation of what this will look like, because I didn't want you to think that dying always is the only solution here. But I don't currently have any decoys. I don't have any other systems to really send these guys elsewhere. But you can see here that they are now running in between objectives. And now, as they're starting to break apart, they're starting to flood the map in search of the next target. So the end result here is that you get these zombies that are going to come running in, you're going to have all this noise generated, and then all of a sudden you're going to have these areas that were originally clear, you're going to start having them filled with new enemies to fight. And so you should have an active economy working inside this map. So before, you have kind of these spread out pull positions where they're showing up, you know, down the street over there. You know, you don't have to worry as much about these in-betweens. But now, as you're actually going around the map and shooting and fighting using bows and arrows, you should actually start bringing them down on you more. So if we get up high again, you'll see an example. So they're actually getting pulled in from around the map. This has actually worked really strongly in your advantage. If you wanted to clear an area, you could go and create a lot of disturbance in that area. And then once you've got them all gathered up, you can use a grenade or whatever you want, explosives, to actually clear that area. So instead of where I don't have any actual weapons to do so, you could actually then use your weapons and explosives to your advantage to actually clear the space. And I haven't actually tested this system, so let's make sure if I go hide that all those systems should be working just the same. So before in Dying Light 1, they didn't have this idea of like hiding spaces. They only had run, and so that's how the original mod was developed, is just if you're outside the safe zones, you got to get to that next safe zone. I really like how they've put these different UV locations throughout the map, because now it's this idea of, okay, if I have UV locations, I have actual grass to hide in, then I don't have to worry about, you know, making it all the way to a specific base. I can actually just comb through the map, use stealth if necessary, and then when I get into trouble, it's intense trouble. And so you kind of define whether or not you want that level of intensity or not. And one of the things I'm trying to do is also build this out to where the in-game difficulties are also defining some of these things. So this won't actually, a majority of these things won't happen if you're playing on normal or easy, but rather if you're playing on that nightmare, if you're playing on hard difficulty, now all of a sudden you need to be concerned about hordes of zombies showing up and attacking. And that was actually kind of fun. So let me see if that... I've actually seen before in some games with the culling, where you turn around, it will actually reset a lot of the values. So if we turn this way and look back, it looks like it's keeping. But it looked like there was about 6 or 7 guys over there a second ago, and I rotated and it went down to 2. So all systems I'm continuing to look at, but basically the idea behind the original I Am Legion is that they made out like the environment was just so dangerous, and as soon as you left the safe zone, you were a runner, and so you needed to run. And so I've tried to bring some of that intensity back of, you can't just stroll through the map. Instead, you actually need to move through the map and use distractions and that kind of thing in order to survive. Otherwise, you have no business being alive because it's post-apocalyptic. You're supposed to be the best of the best. Now, I'm continuing to look at these other systems. Like, I love that they've got guys hiding inside the buildings. So you can see here that... you can see I'm still in tutorial mode here, but you can see we still have guys sleeping. We still have, all those systems that were originally there. The difference is that now when they wake up, you have to worry about them coming after you. So if you blow up something, you potentially have people awakening inside the buildings and pouring out of the buildings. I've also turned on a couple of systems that were not turned on before, such as them colliding with each other, so they will actually actively get in each other's way. And you can see here, we've actually got quite a lot to contend with. Let's see if we can get up high. I don't know if I have the strength for this. I don't think I'm going to make it. Oof. But you can see here that now once we're high, we should actually have a few coming after me. So the rooftops, they're not going to spawn on the rooftops. They're going to follow you. So if you are running from a horde and then all of a sudden you try to escape to the roofs, you're probably not going to have all of them show up, but you're going to have a good amount start to climb up the buildings and come after you. So you can evade up to the top of the roofs, but just know that you're probably also going to have some zombies to contend with once you get up here as well. But I do agree with a lot of the posts that I've been seeing. I think physics really are such a big, important part of this game, and that's definitely something that I'm trying to bring back and something that I'm trying to rebalance in the system. It all comes down to once you unlock the the physics system, then it comes down to force behaviors and how much force is being applied onto the different objects as you're hitting them. So I'm going to continue to balance that out and make sure that these characters are actually getting the proper amount of weight applied to them. Things like hitting them with different types of weapons, axes, melee. I want to make sure all of that is kept how it is, only reinforced with some new challenging behaviors, such as taking a heavy weapon and trying to knock these guys off the roofs. I've actually found where you can write in height levels that they will always die. So potentially this idea of getting up to a roof and then knocking them all off to wipe out a horde, that's a good way to play. So if you want to clear an area, you can just try to lead them up, lure them up to the roofs, and then slowly take them out. You don't have to worry as much about fighting one-on-one with every single one of these guys. So let me know what you guys are seeing. I'm going to go ahead and release this version into the wild. I can't wait to hear your guys' feedback and see what you guys are seeing as well. And I'm going to continue to work on this mod into this evening and continue to host out and play so that you guys can see what I'm coming up with actively. But I look forward to hearing your guys' feedback and comments.